UFC Fight Night Vegas 105, Emmett versus Murphy takes place this weekend, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main events, giving my prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card. And I'm trying something different in the way that I'm breaking down the card now. So I'm going to have the graphics in the background. Let me know how this looks. I'm not redoing the start! I hate this! I hate breaking down the fight night cards on the Apex. But I'm going to break them down regardless. I hate doing this, man. It's taken me all day. You don't procrastinate in doing this shit. I could have been live having fun. Start off with a barn burner. Vanessa Demopoulos versus Talita Alencar. Alencar shouldn't be in the UFC. The woman that she had her claim to fame against in terms of skill went on to get fraud checked by Sam Hughes recently. Lowest of the low. Vanessa Demopoulos is probably going to win 29-28. She's more physical. She's scrappy. She's got experience. She's larger. I'd love to tell you some kind of technical aspect that's going to dictate how this fight's going to go, but there is no technical aspect on how this fight's going to go, and for some fucking bizarre reason, they seem to value Vanessa Demopoulos with I'm not starting again. I keep smashing my hand into the table. I don't know why. Vanessa Demopoulos she'll win it. Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao. Whoa! See that transition? Craziness. Wow. Oh, who the fuck is Pedro Falcao again? Oh, yeah, he fought Hugo Silva. And he spammed takedowns against him. A bunch. And he failed all of them but one. I'm going to go with Victor Henry here. I don't see too much from Pedro Falcao, to be honest with you. I think Victor Henry's pretty good at the sprawl and pitter-patter type of fighting. And I think that's going to benefit him here. I know he's had a bit of a rough go of things recently. He's kind of had a decent start to his career, and then he lost against Rafael Assunção, but that was still during the era of Rafael Assunção fraud checks. And, you know, the Javid Basharat fight, was it Farid or Javid? I don't know, but it was one of the Basharat bros. I don't know who it was, but I know the one that just got knocked out by Ricky Simone. So a few of his competitive matchups, you know, he's been proven to not hang with the top of the division. He's been proven that he's not ranked potential. But then again, he did beat Raoni Barcelos, which according to Peyton Tabot, makes you some kind of god in the bantamweight division. So I think when it comes to those guys that really want to get takedowns, and we saw that against Victor Hugo for Pedro Falcao, where he shot 13, I believe, throughout the fight. Got all of them stuffed but one. I think Victor Henry's pretty good at that. Keep it standing and keep it at range and out volume you type of fight. I think you need to have high finishing potential to get rid of him, and I don't see that in Pedro Falcao. So I'm going to go with Victor Henry here to get it done by decision, 29-28, likely winning the second and third round. Really good cardio, really good conditioning. I'm going to go with Victor Henry to win this fight. We move on. Loma Lookboonmee. Oh my God, Loma Lookboonmee is back. Now, this is what I'm talking about. If people forget, man. Loma Lookboonmee. Okay, now I'm amped about this card. What's going on with the screen? Stop it. Loma Lookboonmee. People forget, man. She's really, really good. And I know she's lost some fights, but ain't no Istela Nunes going to beat Loma Lookboonmee. Okay? Loma Lookboome's very good at fighting. The technique on the feet. If only she has developed her takedown defense, which I believe she's going to have done during her grand hiatus. She's been missed in women's MMA, I tell you. She had a great fight with Lupita Godinez. Other than that, she got taken down here and there in that fight. I get it. Other than that, though, she looks really good on the feet. Really good in the clinch. She actually looks like a capable women's fighter, and that's more than I can say for 6-5. Istela Nunes. What? What, we LFA? Why are people with records of 6-5 in the UFC? What are we becoming? I woke up today and I saw Derek Lewis versus Taliesin Teixeira as a main event of a fight night card with a crowd. And it just stung. And I'm noticing the quality of this fucking promotion plummet to bedrock levels. We can't go any lower than this. Why are you 6-5 in the UFC? Get out! Loma Lookboonmee's actually pretty good. She's got talent. She's great at striking. And she's going to beat up on Istela Nunes in the clinch and at range on the feet as well with her superior Muay Thai skills. And she's from Thailand. Even more credentials for her Muay Thai skills. We move on. Rhys McKee is still here versus Daniel Frunza. He's not 1-0. I don't know why the UFC website is claiming that he's 1-0. He's 9-2. He had a few losses early in his career, but since then he's been demolishing people with his grappling. Now, I will say that Rhys McKee is going to be a decent underdog here. I don't know whether or not to take him as the underdog. He's got decent scrambles and takedown defense against people at 170. I really kind of want to go with Rhys McKee to win this fight. He went to a split decision against a Nzechukwu who I believe missed weight for that fight. He's missed weight for a few. This may have been one of them. And he beat some good fighters on the regional scene as well before getting back to the UFC. He had a bit of a tough time against Orange Lusa. So what am I talking about? Daniel Frunza's had some finishes early with the ground and pound. Okay, takes people down, mauls them on the ground, beats them up, finishes them. He's very good in that regard. I might go Rhys McKee as an underdog here, and I don't even know if he's an underdog because the odds aren't showing up. But I might go Rhys McKee as an underdog here against Daniel Frunza. I think he will survive early, and I think he has improved. And I don't mind the split decision loss to Nzechukwu in hindsight. Maybe it's because he's just a similar frame to Chidi, and then Chidi just likes beating up on shorter guys. I just don't see Rhys McKee getting demolished in a round in the grappling. I know, oh, well, what about what happened with Khamzat Chimaev? It's Khamzat Chimaev. You know, he did it to Whittaker, for God's sakes. So I'm not going to hold it against Rhys McKee too much. I'm going to say Rhys McKee is going to be able to sort of weather a bit of a grappling-heavy storm and then win this fight as it goes on the feet. I'm going to say 29-28 Rhys McKee. Maybe a third-round finish. I'm getting crazy here. I'm making it fun for myself. No, but really, I have a weird feeling that Rhys McKee is going to win this fight against Frunza. I like Frunza. I think he's good. Saw him on the Contender Series. Had a dominant performance. I don't see him doing that to Rhys McKee. He's lost 2 fights by rear naked choke, I believe. Those are his 2 losses. I'm not going to say that Rhys McKee does that, but I don't see him just manhandling and finishing Rhys McKee in the first 2 rounds. That's a big-framed guy to have to be able to do that to. And I'm going to go with Rhys McKee getting this one done, to be honest with you. I'm going with Rhys McKee. So, yeah. We move on. Up the card, Diana Belbita versus Dione Barbosa. Diana Belbita's incapable of harming another human. It's unfortunate for her. I'm going to have to go with Dione Barbosa. Look at the delts, the abs. I mean, this is actually good to have the images on the screen so you can see where my thought process is going here. I mean, you know, just that, you know, the capped delts here. This is less of a feminine build, you know? This is just slope, you know, no definition, bony, flimsy, frail. Cannot implement damage on another human. I just don't see it. I don't see how she can implement damage on another human. And I've seen her fight, and it is similar to what I'm describing. She just doesn't seem to have any snap or pop or crackle. I don't know. I don't know what. I'm going to go with Dione Barbosa. More masculine, more power, strength, physicality. This is what it comes down to in women's MMA. Chunk. She's going to win against Diana Belbita. She'll probably get some takedowns, but I think I'm pretty confident in this pick. I don't think Diana Belbita's... I think she's pretty technically sound, but she just can't impose anything on anyone. She can't get takedowns and ragdoll people. She can't hurt people on the feet or knock them down. There's just no chance of that. So I'm going to go with Dione Barbosa. Like, Belbita might do some, like, exercise lesson knees in the clinch, but it's just not going to work. Dione Barbosa is going to be too strong, too big, too powerful. She takes out Diana Belbita inside the distance. We move on. Davey Grant versus Daniel Santos. I'm done doubting Davey Grant. I'm done doubting dangerous Davey Grant. That'll be the last time. Davey Grant is an absolute phenom, and he is defying the aging logic of bantamweights. He takes out Daniel Santos by TKO in this fight, no mistake about it. He's fast, he's twitchy, he's powerful, he's got weirdly long limbs, okay? Dangerously long legs for the division, okay? Really snappy kicks, and we've seen Daniel Santos hurt before, but we've seen him bounce back. A lot of people ended up comparing him to a bantamweight Charles Oliveira at a certain point in his career. And maybe he hasn't lived up to the expectations too much. I think Davey Grant is a tough night for literally every single bantamweight on the roster, to be honest with you. I could see Davey Grant get paired up against Rob Font, and I'd be worried for Rob Font getting chinned. I don't know why. Davey Grant is just outright dangerous. I could see Peter Yan go in there with Davey Grant. Let me not say some craziness here. I'm not going to say some craziness, but you know what I mean. Maybe I went too far with the Peter Yan, having a tough time with Davey Grant talk. But you know what I'm saying, right? He's constantly in the fight. You can't take him out of there. You're going to have to outwar him, and he doesn't get outwarred. He fucks people up. Davey Grant messes people up. He really does. Nasty power in his hands. People forget, man. He fraud-checked Jonathan Martinez, and this is Jonathan Martinez that went on to beat Said Nurmagomedov. That went on to be ranked. He did better against Jonathan Martinez than Jose Aldo did. We're not joking here, okay? Davey Grant is actually a problem, and I think he's going to crack Daniel Santos a little bit too easily here. High and tight style, Muay Thai heavy style, tucked up, coming forward. Davey Grant's going to scoot around, hack at his legs, hack at his body, kick at his arms, and just bloody and bruise him as the fight goes on until eventually getting a TKO or just winning a decision by doing more damage. So I'm going to go with Davey Grant and getting this one done. He's too dangerous. The nickname speaks for itself. Davey Grant wins this fight, in my opinion, inside the distance. Maybe after getting hurt early, but people don't put away Davey Grant. So I'm going to go with Davey Grant getting this one done by finish. We move on. Ode Osbourne versus Louis Gurule. Louis Gurule fought Piccanini on the Contender Series. Very, very close fight it was. He won. This guy is 0 inches tall. I don't know if you're seeing this information on the screen right now, guys. We're talking about a height difference you've never seen before, where the UFC, as a promotion that they are, don't have his measurements. Ode Osbourne has lost so many times, and losing to Ronaldo Rodriguez is just outright pathetic. I believe Louis Gurule is now 10-0 on the come up, 31 years old. Ode Osbourne's good, but I'm going to go with Louis Gurule grueling his way to a win with a grindy style on the inside. I'm going to pick Louis Gurule, close decision. I don't see why even if it is close, I think the odds are going to lean towards the prospect getting this one done over Ode Osbourne. And in hindsight, again, making it competitive with Ronaldo Rodriguez, clearly losing at least a round and moments of the third is a really bad look for Ode Osbourne. It is. It really is. And he had some wins early in his career, lost twice in a row by submission to, I believe, Azat Maksum and Temer, someone else with that type of name. And other than that, I don't really see too much good on Ode. We know that he's not good enough. We don't know if Louis Gurule is or not yet. I haven't got high hopes. I have not got high hopes for him. But I think he'll get past the Ode Osbournes of the flyweight division. So I'm going to go with Louis Gurule in this fight. This could be my worst set of predictions, by the way, but we move on. Torrez Finney versus Robert Valentin. Now, this one is just going to be an absolute barn burner. I'm going to go with Torrez Finney, but Robert Valentin has such good finishing potential that I'm concerned for Torrez Finney. They're showing he has a 3-0 record. For some reason, for anyone who's come through the Contender Series, the UFC website of this billion-dollar company is only showing their Contender Series record, where he is 3-0. He went through it 3 times over against 3 decently capable prospects. A lot of them were bad. One of them was terrible. I don't know why they did that to him, but maybe they were trying to build storyline. I don't know why they were holding him back so much, because he just beat up another like regional guy that wasn't that good, and now he's ready for the middleweights in the UFC. Kind of insane decision making. It was tough to see Valentin get smushed by Ryan Loder, but Ryan Loder has really, really good wrestling. But Torrez Finney has really good wrestling as well. And he's not too outreached. And he's got power. I do worry about Valentin uncorking some of those elbows on Torrez Finney. That is dangerous for Finney here, but I am going to lean towards Finney in his UFC debut against Robert Valentin. I want Valentin to win. If you watch The Ultimate Fighter, you would know this guy's got superstar written all over him. Outside of the runes that he has on his chest, the pagan that he is. But I'm going to go with Torrez Finney, getting this one done. Valentin is very open. On the feet, in times and in moments. On the ground, he gives up dominant position quite a bit. I can't see him getting out from bottom position against Torrez Finney. Who's just had so much experience now. Maybe holding him back so much was actually a good thing for him. If these two would have met on the Contender Series when Finney first got there, maybe Valentin would have put him away. But I think Finney's been grinding, he's been hustling, and I reckon he'll be able to get down Robert Valentin, and I think he's powerful enough, and just by his head shape alone, it's going to be hard to spin that jaw. It just is going to be hard to spin that jaw. Temple shots away, you're going to KO Torrez Finney. Okay? Head like Tyler 1. Real tough head shape. But that's going to make him pretty hard to TKO. Valentin, long, tall head. Thin, chin. You know? Aesthetically, it doesn't matter. We're going with what's going to be well equipped to deal with finishing potential in this fight. Good luck getting a rear naked choke under the neck of Torrez Finney. He ain't found his neck yet. How are you going to find it? Even with the use of mirrors, Finney has not found his neck to this day. So I'm going to have to go with Torrez Finney getting this one done. I reckon he'll get it done by decision. Little bit of a poo-poo UFC debut. We move on. Up the card, Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert. Now, Gerald Meerschaert, accidentally or not, because he's now undone this. Not that long ago, he followed me on Everything at Once out of nowhere. Okay? I don't know what came over him, but he did. I don't know if he's still done it, but when I last checked, he had therefore unfollowed me. He's now leaning into the memes, GM3. Okay? He's really playing into this whole GM3 character that he's got going on. The legend, the myth of Gerald Meerschaert. I just don't see him getting takedowns on Brad Tavares, man. That's the point that you've got to point out here. Sure, he dropped and finished someone that Alex Pereira couldn't. But that's just GM3. And he makes it close with everyone. He's a prop. I think Brad Tavares, I don't see GM3 catching him on the chin and putting him away. And I just don't see him getting a takedown. Brad Tavares is known for his takedown defense. And I'm not even joking about that. He is just so good at balancing on one leg. You've got to have some kind of wildness to you and good fighting on the inside. And Meerschaert just seems to be a bit body kick heavy. And then sort of come in with a few punch combo. And then body kick at range again. And he'll try and find his takedown in moments. And maybe once he gets it, it'll give Brad Tavares problems. But I just don't see him getting that takedown too soon. And I think Tavares is going to be snappier. And he's going to win this simple matchup on the feet. Because it's going to be quite simple. Gerald Meerschaert's not going to be Bruno Ferreira land a spinning elbow out of nowhere. Or a Abbas Magomedov big front kick up the middle. He's just not that type of middleweight. So I think he's going to be looking for body kicks at range. They're quite slow. I'm rooting for GM3. And if we get to that third round, that's where GM3 comes alive. So that's where the live odds are going to come into play. But I am going to lean towards Brad Tavares here. And I'm going to take him to win this fight by decision as the fight goes on. Mainly winning the second. And, well, maybe I won't be so crazy and say he wins the third. But I do think that Brad Tavares is going to win this fight. takedown defense, man. Meerschaert has to have that element of don't let him take you down, don't let him take you down. He's got great submission ability. But Brad Tavares does not let people take him down. So I'm going to go with Tavares. We move on. Up the card. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Martin Bidet. I wonder who's going to win. Look at them. Just look at them for a second. We're really going to have to start doing that when it comes to breaking down heavyweight fights. Look at the state of him. Look at him. Tom Segura is a better shaped version of Martin Bidet. He is. He's a better shaped version of Martin Bidet. The comedian. The notoriously fat comedian, Tom Segura, is in better shape than UFC heavyweight Martin Bidet. I'm going with Kennedy Nzechukwu. Didn't have much at light heavyweight. The weight cut, of course, wasn't the best for him, and they are better technically at light heavyweight in general, unless they're Ryan Spann, in which case they're just dumb and horrible at everything, no matter where they go. But I think Kennedy Nzechukwu is going to win this fight very easily by TKO. I feel like I'm trashing a Team Aspinall member here, because Martin Bidet has been training with Tom Aspinall, so maybe via training with Tom, he'll get the rub of a world championship material heavyweight. I just don't see it, man. I think Nzechukwu's a little bit too dynamic for him. I think Nzechukwu's going to run into a Jailton Almeida that gets him down and subs him, or he's going to run into a Volkov who just fucking fraud checks him, or he'll run into maybe a Sergey Spivak off a loss that might give him some problems. It's going to take someone around, or a Derek Lewis will chin him after being beaten up for a round or two. It's going to take that to beat Kennedy Nzechukwu. These fatties ain't got him. They ain't got him handled. And Nzechukwu's got a lot of reach on him, and I think he's going to use that to his advantage and score a big TKO. A big TKO in the first round is what I'm seeing here for Kennedy Nzechukwu. I could see body shots. There is no support system here. I'm going to have to go with Kennedy Nzechukwu. Getting this one done. TKO. Finish. Round 1. Big shots. Put away Martin Bidet. There's a reason he's a big favorite. We move on. Up the card. Cortavius Romeus versus Chang Ho Lee. I mean, holy shit, this is a big matchup. Now, Cortavius had a bit of a dud, didn't he, in his debut? Which is tough, but I kind of saw it coming. Ugh. Chang Ho Lee's pretty dynamic, pretty powerful. He's pretty big as well. The thing about Cortavius Romeus is he's not big enough for a bantamweight, is he? He isn't. He's athletic. He's got some speed on him. I just think Chang Ho Lee's going to be too big. And he's all right, Chang Ho Lee. Holy shit, he's pretty good. I don't know how many more times I need to repeat that joke. Running out of things to say about this one. I'm going to go with Chang Ho Lee in this matchup. This is on the main card. Yeah, this is on the main card. Whew. At least the crowded events are stacked. Derek Lewis, Taliesin Teixeira is main eventing. Moving on up the card. We're at that was the feature fight. All right. Well, Joanderson Brito is going to fuck up Pat Sabatini, in my opinion. Too powerful, too fast, too dangerous on the feet. We're talking about a guy with a win over Diego Lopez himself. Lost to Willem Gomez. You could argue robbery. But then again, Willem Gomez did land some good shots in that third round. I don't argue robbery. I watched it back. At first, I was angry. I was big on the hype of Joanderson Brito. He ruined my Jack Shaw with low kicks. And I was big on the hype of Joanderson Brito. And he is very good and very powerful. And he's got good grappling as well. Pat Sabatini's got good submission ability. But he is a victim on the feet, really. If we're really being honest here. He's a victim for someone who's going to be aggressive, strong, shuck off the initial takedown attempt, and put hands and feet on him. You know? So I got Joanderson Brito. Pat Sabatini, I mean, we've seen him lose so many times now. He has some submission wins, and he's always dangerous. You know, Jamal Emma's put him away nearly in the first round. And then he got a leg lock out of nowhere. So he's got that jiu-jitsu ability. And his build is all strong, squeezing muscle. So he has that ability to latch up those subs. But I don't see Joe Anderson Brito getting submitted. I rate his jiu-jitsu and his grappling in general. So I'm going to go with Joe Anderson Brito. Powerful start. Probably draw out a bad panicked shot from Pat Sabatini pretty early on. And then just start cruising and bruising for a TKO. Joe Anderson Brito knocked out Shep Mariscal on the regional scene. This is impressive shit, in my opinion. So I'm going to have to go with Joe Anderson Brito. TKO early in the fight. This is a bit of a mismatch, in my opinion. I think the odds... I mean, when you see some of the odds for like a Dagestani guy fighting a world champion and they're like minus 400... I mean, we need some of those odds for this. So these are actually pretty decent odds for Joe Anderson Brito to just be a 2-1 favorite over Pat Sabatini. I reckon he gets a TKO win. TKO win. First round. I'm going to say first round TKO win for Pat Sabatini. Joe Anderson Brito is just so aggressive, so powerful, so fast. He'll put away Sabatini in the first. Around 2 minutes in, is my guess. We move on to the main event. Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. I'm going to go with Lerone Murphy. I've changed my mind upon rewatching some Josh Emmett fights. If you have some level of understanding, and listen, even some opponents, they start beating Josh Emmett, like Michael Johnson was down at featherweight and he was beating Josh Emmett, but Michael Johnson's pretty good. He doesn't catch you out of nowhere. A lot of people are posting the clip of Dan Ige knocking down Lerone Murphy, but Ige will catch you when you don't expect it. And it will be with a punch that shouldn't have that much power. When Josh Emmett knocks someone out, you understand why he's just knocked them out. Okay, he got a big win over Bryce Mitchell. That was over a year. I think that was in 2023. So we're looking at a year and a half out with injury. There's no reason he should have been out for that long after a big highlight reel KO. He should have kept that momentum going, but he didn't. So there's no reason for him to have been out for that long. Which means he's old and he's injured. And I think he's 40 years old now. And he has a lot of damage in his career. A lot of people remember the KO wins of Josh Emmett, but he has been fucked up quite a bit in his career as well. Mangled, destroyed, the Ilia Topuria fight. Even against Cater, he took a whole bunch of damage in that, and I thought he lost. But I got it, he was hitting Cater's shoulders. They gave him the win, you know what I mean? Cater didn't make it clear enough to complain that much. Yair Rodriguez messed him up. He clipped Yair on the feet, but Yair messed him up on the feet with kicks to the body. You know? I think Lerone Murphy can figure this one out. There's something to be said. Listen, I know that you normally go towards highlight reels to dictate who's the best prospects, and that seems to be the fighting nerds' way right now. Oh, wow, amazing highlight reels. Look at all these KOs that they've got. He's going to be an amazing prospect. But there's something to be said about consistently winning decisions that are competitive, that give you that, it just shows for sure that you're better. You know, you're not relying on some finish. You're not relying on, oh, he was losing that round, but then he caught the guy and got a KO, or he was losing up until the second and it was 1-1 on the scorecards, and then the third came around and he got a submission or a TKO. Lerone Murphy's consistently beating people. You know, I thought he beat Dan Ige quite clearly. But then for some reason in that fight, people decided to forget the idea of control time when it came to, or damage over control. Lerone Murphy finished that fight very strong. I think over 5 rounds, he's going to be very good. I think he's going to be in his element over 5 rounds. Range advantage. He's got range on Emmett. He can work with that. I like Lerone Murphy here. I was at first thinking, oh, I wonder if Josh Emmett's going to land. But then you start looking back in Josh Emmett's career and you think, okay, he's got nasty KO power, but the last guy he KO'd before he chinned Bryce Mitchell was Masad Bektic. So it was a nasty KO over Bryce Mitchell. But there's a few and far between. You know, there's a lot of fights where he doesn't get it. A lot more fights where he doesn't get it. Is he going to get 2 of them in a row? That's rare. I think he's got KOs over Bryce Mitchell, Masad Bektic, and he's got a KO over Ricardo Lamas, of course. And there's another KO that he has in his career as well. I think he finished Masad Bektic with a jab in that fight that they had. I'm pretty sure he did. But other than that, I don't really remember. And Michael Johnson, of course, he KO'd before that as well. And he had that streak of 3 But then it seems to get to a point where, okay, he knocked out Bryce Mitchell, who stepped up on short notice, and, you know, he really just sort of waltzed into that fight thinking he was going to beat Josh Emmett and got caught immediately in the fight. We didn't really get to see how the exchanges went down before that. But I don't know if that's going to strike twice for Josh Emmett here. And Lerone Murphy looked really good against Edson Barbosa, who I think Emmett would get into a scrappy war with. He could knock out Barbosa for sure, but I could also see him getting into some, like, proper war with him. And Lerone Murphy took some damage in that fight with Barbosa, but he clearly won. And to do that to Barbosa at featherweight, who's a massive dude, is very impressive. And it really comes back to this about the Josh Emmett thing. If you know what you're doing defensively, and you know how to, like, strategize and game plan going into a fight, which I believe Lerone Murphy's going to have down because he's more like he's like a high-volume Leon Edwards with better grappling defense and a bit more grit, dare I say it. I think Lerone Murphy's going to be able to figure out the big overhand from Josh Emmett. He steps through overhand, steps through again overhand. Lerone Murphy's going to know that. He's going to feint, draw that out, and then back up and then back in with his own combination. So he's going to feint, Emmett does his thing, Murphy goes in afterwards for his own 3-4 punch exchange with a kick at the end of it to the body. I could even see him finishing Josh Emmett to the body or something like that. So I'm going to go with Lerone Murphy. I think he'll grapple as the fight goes on. And Emmett's 40 years old and he's taken a lot of damage, and Ilya fucked him up so bad. And he's been messed up a lot more than he's messed people up. He's messed people up, don't get me wrong. But he's also been messed up quite a bit in his career, and there's something to be said about a 15-0 undefeated Lerone Murphy. That although doesn't have these crazy highlight reel KOs, he consistently wins against versions of opponents that are good. They're showing up and they're doing good, and Murphy's outdoing them 15 times in a row. The Gabriel Santos fight was very close for him. But, you know, Gabriel Santos is pretty fucking good. And I think that's the guy that Emmett would probably chin. But Gabriel Santos just beat up on Jack Jenkins and finished him. That's very impressive. Very, very impressive. I'm going with Lerone Murphy. He's consistently good, and he has the type of style to just outdo Josh Emmett as the fight goes on. I'm going to say decision win, 49-46, 48-47 to Lerone Murphy. Maybe there's a scare where he gets dropped slightly. But I think he'll survive if he does get in trouble with Josh Emmett. So I think as this fight goes on, Lerone Murphy will take over. And you know what? I'm going to go one further. I think Lerone Murphy finishes Josh Emmett in round 3, 4, or 5, has a statement performance, and then loses his next fight. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye. Let me know what you think about the layout of the video. And I'll do this for fight night breakdowns and most breakdowns moving forward. Goodbye.